What's going on, everybody? Glad you're here. You are listening to the Genuine Leadership Shift. I'm Austin James Crawford, and we're just here to create a space to talk about some real leadership, hard truths, and the work it takes to do the right thing and be a great person. Let's get into it.
So before we get into today's episode, I just want to kind of lift the lid on a container here. That container being discipline, all right? Discipline is not, I don't think, about being harder on yourself. It's really just about the work that it takes for you to be able to be trusted by those that we lead. And our discipline does not just affect us, right? It sets a tone. It definitely creates safety. But ultimately, what that's going to do for you is it's going to decide whether or not your coaching is going to build confidence, or maybe it's going to create a little bit of fear. And so today's episode, what I kind of want to unpack here is just the idea of starting before you're ready. And why waiting? Like, waiting is the enemy. But it's also about learning how to just hold a sense of urgency and doing that without intimidation. It's a layer of accountability. And honestly, it's another layer of, I think, being human. None of this is about how we get motivated, right? Discipline is not motivation. That's going to fade. What this is about growing and strengthening your capacity and having the discipline that goes along with that. So I'm excited. Stick around. Let's get into it. All right. And welcome back to the Genuine Leadership Shift. If you are catching up with us today for the very first time, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that you found this episode. Please thank whomever sent you this way. And if you found it on your own, I just want to say I applaud you for seeking out personal growth with me. And I hope that you find that here today. Nonetheless, I'm excited that you're joining in. And I am Austin James Crawford. I am a hospitality leader, a coach, a father, a husband, but honestly, right now, I'm your host of the Genuine Leadership Shift. So our season 1 of this podcast has really been about foundation, strengthening identity, focusing on presence, and today, talking more about discipline and the inner work that it requires to lead well. Season 2 is right around the corner, and we will be framing that a little bit more around performance. And we're also lining up some really exciting new guests, some new voices. So stay tuned for that. But today's episode is called Start Before You're Ready. And this is how discipline beats motivation every single time. This episode, it's going to have a little bit of edge, and that's intentional. Because we don't stall out in life because of a lack of talent. Likely stalling out because we're waiting to feel ready and waiting for more confidence and waiting for more clarity and waiting, honestly, for somebody else's permission. But connection-driven leadership, it doesn't work that way, and neither does growth. And so one thing I think that it's important to be very clear on before we go any further is discipline is not about pressure or control. It's really, really about building the capacity in yourself and in the people in which you lead. Grace, it does not remove accountability. Clarity does not remove compassion. Leadership lives somewhere in there in the middle. Okay. And so with that lens in place, let's just talk about why motivation keeps lying to us and why discipline honestly is the only thing that will actually move the needle. So most of us actually don't really have a discipline problem per se. I think we just have a readiness problem a lot of times. You ever catch yourself saying like, oh, I'll start this once, I'll do it after things kind of calm down this week. Or, oh, we got to make sure that we get all of the right equipment in place. Listen, readiness is honestly just a lie your procrastination tells you so that you feel better about avoiding the work. Listen, I get it. I'm there. I'm over here saying dumb things like, well, I got to get a new microphone before I can launch a podcast. Or, you know what? My shoes are they're not right for riding the bike. Or, you know what? I need to go to the store today and go get a new notebook so that I can plan everything out. Or, I just need a vacation before I could really, rearrange my life and get more disciplined. Listen, that's the voice of avoidance, and I'm right there with you. But I think, let me tell you something with, I don't know, self-reflection, maybe some love and maybe some honesty here. Getting ready to get ready is the reason we aren't moving. There are literally only two voices in your head, right? Every single day. And this is the boss voice, right? Or maybe it's the weak voice. That weak voice is like that comfort seeking, the excuse building, the soft talking one, the one that says, oh, not today. It's not the right time, right? It's the voice that's like, well, let's just wait until everything feels more comfortable. Let's get everything perfect first. I'm too cold. I'm too tired. I had a long day. I really deserve this cookie. I mean, I don't know. That is that weak voice. And listen, it's a battle that I have every single day, every single week. That voice pops up in my head. It's super seductive, right? Because it sounds reasonable. But honestly, it's what's keeping us stuck. And the boss voice on the other side here, that's a little bit more disciplined. That's the intentional one, right? It's the one that doesn't care how we feel. It just cares about who we're becoming, right? And that's ultimately what a boss wants for you, or at least a good boss, right? Or a good leader. And so that's that same type of voice. That's the voice that says, do it anyway. Just start it. Just keep showing up. That's the voice in your head that says, all right, Austin, get out of bed. Let's go. Make the call. Push the send button. Let's just stop talking and let's freaking go. The weak voice, like I said, man, that's the one that keeps us comfortable. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with comfort, but if your goal is growth, sometimes you got to learn to be uncomfortable and you have to put that voice aside. It's the boss voice that keeps us growing. And every single day, every single moment, all the decisions that we make, we're going to choose which voice we follow, right? Nobody is there to choose that for you. But discipline, what we're talking about today, discipline is choosing that boss voice, even when the weak one is screaming reasonably sounding thoughts in your head. So let's really just talk about some truth here, because there are forces out there in life. There are systems, there are expectations, there are environments and cultural norms that want us to be weak. Not because it's like a villain hiding in the shadows, but really it's because weak people are the easiest ones to distract. They're easier to sell to. They're easier to just pacify. And honestly, they're easier to keep exactly where they are. Comfort is profitable, guys. Avoidance is 100% predictable. Stagnation, guys, that's a freaking controllable. And if you stay stuck, nothing has to change. And that's why you literally will see people living the same exact year, 5, 10 years in a row. Then they call it stability, but it's not. It's a rut with a nice paint job on it. You want to break out of those cycles? It's discipline. It's not motivation. It's not about hype. And it's honestly not reading another book to feel empowered. It's discipline. And so that is where it just kind of fires me up here. Because you are not stuck because you lack talent. You're stuck because you lack discipline. None of you, I promise you, are unqualified to do almost anything. None of you are really uncommitted. None of you are unlucky. None of you are unwilling. You're not ready. You're just refusing to start. And here's where I think leadership as a whole gets maybe misunderstood, right? As real leaders, we look into other people's cups to make sure that our people have enough. But some people, they just want to lean over just to look into ours or yours to see if you have more than they do. And that's not even the same thing, right? That's the difference here. So let me clear it up. A disciplined person is actually a dangerous one. but not from a standpoint of being violent or out of control or chaotic, right? You're dangerous because you're now unshakable, you're untouchable, you're unable to be manipulated. You're focused, you're direct, you're capable, you're determined, and you're consistent. That's what discipline gives you. Disciplined people can't be controlled. They can't be bought. They can't be pacified. They cannot be lulled back to sleep with a warm blanket of passive comfortability. And I think, though, that is really the difference here and why so many people never learn or never lean into enforcing discipline. Because discipline is going to threaten all of the systems, right, that depend on us to just stay small and comfortable. So bear with me, hear me a little bit, right? Stop planning to go start a garden. Stop pushing the dirt around. Stop waiting for the sun to come out. Go plant the damn seed. Now, right? That's the mind shift. That's the whole shift. And so I think a little bit here about my own discipline and, my own journey in breaking through and focusing more on my capacity to own a disciplined state of mind. And I recognize that there are parts in my life where, I didn't show up and I don't show up. And honestly, I still struggle to be aligned. And I think that what's most important here is not that I'm on the other side of some victory, but that we all could use a little bit more discipline and a little bit more stop waiting to be ready and just go and just focus. I've waited too long. I've avoided hard. I am very familiar with choosing comfort. I've even chosen, I'm just going to cross this off my list instead of actually building a system behind it. I've chosen just doing something over actual physical progress. I can very easily choose busy over disciplined. But the biggest growth in my life as a human, as a partner, dad, leader, whatever, it comes in the moments where I stop negotiating with myself. And it comes when I stop waiting, to be ready. When I stop pretending that I just need to go find motivation and I just do, and I just act and I get into it. When I recognize, we talk a little bit about pace and tempo, and sometimes my pace is a cop-out. But the best parts come when I continue to focus on my actual tempo and I work intentionally and I spend the day stopping, not trying to hide behind, hey, I'm busy. There's another personal layer here and here as well. And I think that that's the sobriety layer. Discipline there hasn't just made me a better leader. I believe that it made me a better human. It made me a more present father. It makes me a better partner. And it has allowed me to most certainly be somebody who could be counted on. Discipline in that regard, right? And I know that it works, has rebuilt my life, and it still does. It's one little small decision at a time. It's not about being perfect. It's not about something like instant gratification. It's not about, magic. It's about consistency. And I think that that is also the shift here too. And so when discipline arises, or the challenges that we face for comfort or achieving what we want to achieve, discipline has to be at that factor and at the forefront of what you're thinking about and how you're doing it. And I promise you, coming from the other side of that, discipline rebuilt my life. And I think it can continue to make yours better. But enough about me. We want to talk about it in a hospitality standpoint, right? Under this hospitality lens and the hospitality as a mindset. This industry is chaos, with a little bit of structure, pressure, with a little bit of grace. And I can tell you what, it's very intense, but it's got a lot of heart. And discipline in this industry is the backbone. It's the backbone of every single associate and guest. Their experience, all of those things require discipline if it's worth remembering. Every associate that comes to work, right? It's their discipline that makes that culture, that environment worth remembering. Discipline is polishing glassware the same way every single time. It's holding a standard even when you've had a really hard day and a really hard shift or nobody's listening. Discipline is reinforcing hospitality as a mindset, right? Every single day. That doesn't just come naturally sometimes. Managing attitudes and the tone of the kitchen and the dining room, that takes discipline. The discipline to be present for your team. The discipline to deliver +1, that's a discipline too. It's very easy to just go through the motions and not focus on delivering extra. It requires intentionality, it requires the capacity and the discipline to show up that way. Discipline is not cutting corners. Discipline is, not skipping steps. And no, discipline is not sacrificing integrity, right? Because your night was too heavy. I think hospitality as a mindset here, guys, is that it's not taught, not something that you read in a playbook or, talk about occasionally at a pitch stop. It's just reinforced every single day. And connection-driven leadership is the same way. I think here's what we can own as leaders. All right, the team, the office, the front desk, the bar, the restaurant, they all become what the leader repeats. Okay? So my disciplines will become their confidence. And their confidence will become the consistency. That consistency is then really where your culture grows. I mean, it's really not rocket science here. Discipline is connection to yourself. And discipline is the key to that connection-driven leadership we talk about. So how do you build discipline, right? Even if we haven't really practiced it a whole lot, I think it's simple. I mean, it's not easy, but it's simple, right? We go back and we start small with tiny wins, tiny repetitions. And it's okay for it to be ugly and it's okay for it to be messy, right? Because action here, it's going to beat perfect intention. And then do the thing that you've committed to, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where the growth is. Screw your mood, do the plan, right? And then just shut down negotiating with yourself. I think you need to just focus on doing it because you said you would, period. How many times have we been standing there, I'm going to do this later today. I'm going to do that as soon as I get up. And then you don't. That negotiation, right, is an indicator in your own mind that it's okay and you don't have to listen to yourself. So the discipline there to build your identity and build some strength is just not negotiating with yourself. That's where your identity grows. Identity begins to strengthen. It's not about, I worked out for 7 days in a row. It's the identity more of, no, I am disciplined. This is who I am. Another part of this is you're going to have to understand that it is difficult, and that's why we all struggle with it. Right? It's not painful. It's not destructive. It's not going to kill you. It's just difficult. And I think that that's the good kind of difficult. And then this becomes a lot easier if we anchor it to a purpose, right? Your discipline is going to die when it's not tied to something meaningful. So I encourage you to find the why in what you do. There's a quote that I think about all the time, and it's, when the why is great enough, the what doesn't matter. And listen, that right there, that should explain it all. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to start. And you have to have enough tied behind it to anchor it to purpose. And so here's a challenge. Here's a challenge this week. All right? Do the thing that you've been avoiding. The thing that you have been preparing for. That thing you've been sitting on. Right? That one thing that you know is nagging at you that you just need to get it started. Or maybe just need to get it finished. I want you to start it today. No more excuses. Find the purpose behind it. Why did you have that vision in the first place? Big, small, doesn't matter. Just start it today. Not on Monday, not after you get ready, but today. Find one, take that step, and make one more move on that. And as we wrap up here for today, just want to remind you, just get started. And I want to thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for listening, not just casually. I'm hopeful that you have listened with intention. And if you did, you'll understand that this episode, it's not about motivation. It was about responsibility to yourself and to all of the people who are watching how you show up. Discipline isn't about being hard. It's really about you being dependable. You're never really going to ever feel ready. You just need to decide. Discipline is not the mood. It's not luck. It's a choice. It's your choice. And it's made daily. And next week, we're continuing a conversation many of you have actually been asking about. Bethany is going to be back on the show. And we are going to be talking about what stayed with her after creating some space, what changed, maybe what didn't, and what it looks like to actually live what you learned. It's going to be honest, it's going to be grounded, and we're actually very, very excited to share it with you. But if this episode today resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, the simplest way that you can support this work is to follow the show and to share it with somebody who needs it. And like we always say, whatever room or whatever space you walk into next, just remember, do the right thing and be a great person. We'll see you next week. This has been an episode of the Genuine Leadership Shift. If you found connection in this episode, we would appreciate a share. We would appreciate a follow along, and make sure you get this out to the people that you feel need to hear it too. We're looking to grow a community. We're looking to create presence. And honestly, I'm just looking to learn and grow alongside with you. So give us a follow, give us a like, and let's build this together. Do the right thing and be a great person.